Hey everyone, welcome back to channel. I am Murat Ökser. Today I want to help you ship faster, break less, and sleep better. Yes, we are talking about CI/CD for solo developers. Here is what we will cover today. First, what exactly is CI/CD? Then I will answer the question. I'm just one person. Do I really need a complete CI/CD pipeline? Then I will show you how to set up a complete stack using free open source tools. And finally, we will build it together in a live demo. Let's start with the basics. CI stands for Continuous Integration. It means every time you push code, it automatically builds, tests, and validates your code. CD stands for Continuous Deployment or Delivery. This ensures your tested app is automatically deployed or staged, no more manual steps. CI/CD automates almost everything that slows you down. It builds your code, runs tests and linters, checks for security issues, packages your app, and even deploys it for you if you configure it. And because you are a one-person show as a solo developer, you need every bit of efficiency generated by automation. By this way, you will bring professionalism to your work and you will show you are serious to your clients and most importantly to yourself. And how will we do that? We will use open source tools to run everything locally using Docker Compose. As we will run them locally, there is no monthly fees to pay to cloud tools. It's free. As you are solo, you can take your toolbox with you wherever you go. And that means this is offline friendly. You can work from cafes, travels, and planes everywhere. And that is one click environment reproducibility. When you run Docker Compose up minus D, your environment is up and you are good to go. And similarly, your environment is done with just one Docker Compose down command. Alright, time for demo. I will create a simple app with Docker Compose YAML file. I will use the Spring Boot application, but that doesn't matter. It can be anything. I will use PostgreSql database and Jenkins for CI/CD pipeline, and I will install Sonarqube for code quality and code coverage reports. By the end, you will have a complete local CI/CD environment running on your machine, and you will know exactly how to set it up again for any project. Okay, let's start with initiating our sample application. I'm adding web, JPA, and PostgreSQL driver dependencies. Let's check if this is working, but we got database error. We need to give database details in application properties file. Here we go. Create a Docker Compose YAML in your root directory of project. If you haven't watched yet, I cover how to set up Postgre in Docker Compose YAML file in my previous video here. Basically, I am giving DB credentials here and I am mapping one of my local directory to Postgre data directory because I don't want to lose data when I down the Postgre container because when I run docker compose down, it deletes all containers defined. Okay, I ran docker compose up minus d command and Postgre container started. Let's check connectivity. Use credentials defined in docker compose YAML file. Okay, it looks fine. Let's check schemas. We have only public schema and I will create a specific schema for application. I'm putting DB details in application properties file here. After that, our application is running fine now. Now I am setting up Jenkins service details in Docker Compose YAML file. As our application is running on 8080 port, I am giving a different port for Jenkins. I am giving 8081. And again, to not lose data when we down containers, I am creating volumes. And to make Jenkins be able to reach my code base, I am mapping my project path to a local container path for Jenkins. I am also mapping another deploy artifacts directory from my host machine to a directory in container. I will use that to get artifacts packaged by Jenkins. Okay, let's down and up again, but it looks like we forget to define volumes at the end of the file. Okay, they look started. Let's check localhost 8081 port, and yes, here is Jenkins is running now. Let's continue with Sonar. As we will configure Sonarqube to use this Postgre, we want it to start after that. So we are using depends on feature here. Here are the necessary environment variables for Sonarqube. We are giving DB as connection host value because all these services are running in same Docker network and DB will resolve to Postgre defined in the above. I'm also creating a separate schema for Sonarqube only. And also let's define volumes to make data persistent in the host machine. Again, let's stop and start. But it looks like SonarQube didn't start, so let's use up command. Yes, I can see SonarQube tables are generated. Let's check from browser. Okay, its default user and password is admin. Change password as you like. Fine, we are done with the installation. Okay, before automation, let's generate a Sonar report with a command line prompt manually. In Maven, we can generate Sonar report with these parameters: clean, verify, Sonar and give some project details. And to make Maven able to access Sonarqube, we need to give a token. We will generate token in Sonarqube UI. You can generate token from my account, security, and generate token flow. Put the token to Sonar login parameter and run the command. Okay, I see a class file version problem. That is because of the Java version. I need to switch a newer version one. Build success. Let's check the report generated. Okay, we can see project is visible here, but I see coverage is 0. We need to configure a code coverage plugin in our project. I will use Jacoco plugin. You can pick the configuration from here and put it in your POM.xml file. You can check latest versions from this public Maven repository. Copy this build plugin configuration and paste it into your POM.xml file in plugins section. You can also change to latest version. Okay, I think I have done a copy paste error. Yes, I have one more plugin stack here. Let's try again. Yes, now I can see the coverage report as well. To make code coverage report more visible, let's create a sample utility and generate some unit tests. Our unit test will cover only one part of the utility class, and we can see not covered part in report. Yes, here we can see covered and not covered parts. Okay, I don't want to give Sonar project details parameters each and every build I do. So let's create a Sonar project properties file and put the details in it. Okay, I am deleting this report from Sonarqube and I will generate reports from Jenkins later on. Let's configure Jenkins now. First, we need to set up security. After that, we need to specify a password for admin user. And we need to install some plugins we will need soon. Install Git and Sonarqube scanner plugins. You can check this checkbox for restarting Jenkins after installation, but it looks like it doesn't work in Docker environment. It stops it, but it doesn't restart it. We need to stop and start everything again. Good. Now we need to configure SonarQube installation. Localhost in URL will not work because localhost will try to find SonarQube in Jenkins container, but that is not there. We will use SonarQube service name as a host name. We need to also give token we generated in SonarQube to Jenkins here. In kind options, select secret text and put the token you generated in SonarQube. And of course, don't forget to select server authentication token. Save the settings. Then go to Tools and define a Maven installation. You can leave install automatically checked. Okay, let's create our first build item job. In this build item, we will run tests and run SonarQube report generation. If any test fails, this build will be unstable and it will be failed also. I don't want to keep old builds forever, so I am just giving some configurations here. Okay, in source code management part, we will give our project path with file protocol. But first, we need a Git repo defined in our project. And just be careful not to commit any token value. Okay, we have now a local Git repo with main branch. But remember, Jenkins is running in Docker container and cannot reach our host machine directories. We will give map directory as repository URL. And about build triggers, we have lots of options here, but we will come here later. In build steps section, let's add a Maven build step. Select Maven version as we defined in configurations and give goals as clean verify. And then add a Sonar Cube scanner step. But it looks like we need to configure a global Sonar scanner. Let's go to global tool configurations and define a new Sonar scanner here. Okay, save and let's check configuration again. Let's trigger it, but it failed. Let's check the error code. Okay, that is because we use file protocol and trying to check out from a local repository. By giving this system property to true to Jenkins, we can overcome this problem. Let's add these to Java options in Docker Compose configurations. Then stop and start everything. Okay, failed again with same problem. It looks like stop and start didn't work. Let's down and up. Failed again. Let's check the problem. It looks related to Git. It's trying to check out master branch, but we don't have master branch. We need to give main. Let's configure again and change master to main. Okay, at least we see some logs now. I see an error in tests section. It is trying to connect to localhost, but because this is running in a container and Postgre is running in another container, localhost doesn't work. Either we will skip the tests or cancel the tests or change the configuration to connect to PostgreDB. But then we will not able to run the test on host. So let's just comment out these context initialization tests. Maybe we can later put a test application properties and we can give specific DB connection details here to make it connect to Postgre container. Now I see an error on Sonarqube report generation step. It looks like we gave wrong binary path. Let's change these to target classes. Alright, we got a success now. Let's check the report. And yes, our Sonar report is generated and we can see the code coverage here. Okay, let's create another Jenkins job to build and package our project for the following deployment steps. I'm giving clean package goals for these maven step to generate a jar file from our Spring Boot application. And then I'm putting a shell execution step to copy the generated jar into a specific deployment directory that is mapped from our host directory. You see, our deploy artifacts directory is empty now. I am adding another post build action to archive the artifact. By this way, our jar file will be downloadable from directly Jenkins. Okay, let's try it. But it failed. Let's check what was the problem. Okay, it looks like we haven't given the Maven version in the configuration. Let's give it and try again. Yes, we have got success result and it looks like jar file is copied as well. And our jar file is downloadable directly from here. And we can reach the file from our host machine as well as we mapped in volumes section in Docker compose YAML file. Alright, let's manage automation now. I want this test and sonar report job to be triggered on each commit I have done. You can configure a poll here and you can give a cron job definition here. I am giving every 2 minutes, but you can adjust whatever you like. This will check if there is any new commit or not. So if there is a new commit, it will trigger this job. And I also want to trigger package job when this test job results successfully. Now let's do a dummy commit to trigger auto builds. And done. Let's observe what's happening in Jenkins. Okay, I can see test job is triggered now. And then package job is triggered as well. It looks working. Let's check deploy artifacts directory again and we can see the file has changed. I think we have new version of artifact now here. And I also can see the Sonar report is generated again. Thanks for watching. If this helped you, like and subscribe for more tutorials like this. Got a question or want me to cover other tools? Drop a comment. I'm Murat Öksüzer. See you on next video.